Hello, and welcome to the channel's book club. For today's show, we have Chuka Momah, an iconic sports writer, commentator, and administrator, who has served as chairman of the Nigeria Tennis Federation and president of the Confederation of African Tennis. He is also a recipient of the National Sports Merit Award. I couldn't stop reading his book titled Muhammad Ali, a fascinating biography of one of the greatest sports heroes of all time. His other book, Sports Spectacular, is more or less a compilation of some of the most important articles, essays, accounts, and photos of sporting history you will ever find. If you have any interest in sports at all, this book should be in your library. Chuka Momah joined us to share a few of his experiences and provide some insight into his books. Please join us after this break.
Sometimes it is tempting to ponder what might have happened if Ali had not been stricken with Parkinson's syndrome. As his doctor during his fighting days, Dr. Fadi Pacheco did say, Ali has continued to display the typical courage and resourcefulness, and is even milking the disease to perform public good. When the world learned that Ali suffered from Parkinson's syndrome in 1988, Ali's dignified response was, "I'm in no pain. If I were in perfect health, if I had won my last 2 fights, if I had no problems, people would be afraid of me. Now they are sorry for me. They thought I was Superman. Now they can say he's human, like us. He has problems."
Mr. Momah, thank you for joining us on the channel's book club.
Thank you, thank you.
It's a pleasure speaking to you. You're an icon in sports journalism in Nigeria, and you've written a lot over many decades. You've wrote a lot of columns in a lot of newspapers. What was your writing experience like? I don't know if I should be using the word was, because writers are always writers. But tell us a bit about those famous years of writing in newspaper columns.
No, they were exciting years. I had the privilege of attending the great Government College of Ibadan in the 60s, and there was so much emphasis on literature. Of course, we acted plays with St. Anne's, Macbeth, Man for All Seasons, Hamlet, Julius Caesar. In other words, there was a lot of emphasis on the use of words, on literature. Not to mention, of course, that we had the privilege of attending a school that produced the great Foray, as well as a Stephen and Dr. T.m. One Man, One Machete, etc. And there were other great writers who came through that great school. So it was fun. We competed against one another in terms of essays and all that. So GCI was also quite famous for sports, different sports, football, cricket, lawn tennis, different sports, track and field. So it just followed through, and then the rest, as they say, is history. I found myself writing. I don't know how I can say it started. I just found myself writing, and then the late Delegiwa gradually imposed it on me. We were friends when he insisted I must write a regular column for Sunday Concord. I think that was 83, something, from January 83. Then I also wrote a column for the National Concord. And then from there to Newswatch, when they left to start Newswatch. And then I had a stint with Guardian as well. So it was just, it wasn't planned, it was fun, it was a hobby, and that's it.
Now, there's a lot to talk about with you, but I want to zero in on your books. All the writings culminated in these 2 books. Muhammad Ali, a story about Superman, written by a super fan.
Well, I called myself a super fan.
Interesting writer. I have to say that I have thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. It's fun from page 1 to the end. Fun. Maybe because I am an Ali fan myself, but it's really fun. Now, I'm keen on asking, what was the experience of writing about Ali like for you? And I read from the first chapter how you met Ali himself with the manuscript, and how he said, you don't look as dumb as you look. You don't sound as dumb as you look. Okay, so tell us about that, the experience of putting this book together.
Well, again, going back to Government College Ibadan, when Ali fought Sonny Liston the first time, 64 or something, the camp were broken into two. People like me were for Sonny Liston. He was strong, he knocked out like Patterson twice. Then there were those who were for then Cassius Clay, who became Muhammad Ali. And I had a bet with Adediji, who was 1 year my senior. We were in the same house, Swanston House. We had a bet with my favorite meal, which was Dodo fried plantain. 2 plates of it. And I was shocked that Cassius Clay beat Sonny Liston. So I lost 2 plates of Dodo. It was interminably painful. But I kept wanting him to get beaten. He kept winning, and then as time went on, you began to see that the man was actually such a great man with a large heart, such a kind man. He was a superior person, not just athlete, in his philosophies of life, in virtually almost everything he did, up to the Vietnam War, which he refused to go to because he said, I ain't got no quarrel against them Viet Cong. No Viet Cong ever called me a nigger. And told them pointedly, you want me to go across the world and go and fight yellow people, the disadvantaged peoples in the world, when his own kit and kin in America were not free. That is your enemy, not mine. For which he gave up the title and endured a lot of deprivation, which I still believe is responsible for his present condition. Because had it not been for the layoff, 67, till he came back in 70, before his layoff he was untouchable. You couldn't touch him, he was too fast, both of hands and of feet. Cos D'Amato said the only time you could touch Ali was when you shook hands at the end of the fight. That's the former trainer of, the late trainer of Mike Tyson. But when he came back, because they took away his title, he was now slower and kept taking punches he wouldn't have had to take before his ban from boxing. Well, it's neither here nor there, but it's clear to my mind that the punches he took after that were responsible for the Parkinson's syndrome and all that. So it was just one thing leading to the other, and you found that he was such a fine, great man, and I became a fan.
A super fan.
Well, don't mind my narcissism if I call it that.
But at what point did you decide to write a book on Ali?
Well, I had done a series first with the great Yinka Craig, with my great friend, my unforgettable friend Yinka Craig. We did a series which was on NTA Sports Network, and that was from 85, I think. And then later I started presenting the program. So I had done all that, but then I had written a lot and about Ali in the different columns. Delegate was a big fan of Ali's, because I remember the first thing I wrote was almost critical, and Dele said, look, you can't write like that about my hero. He said, I won't take it in my newspaper. So we both laughed, and I had done that. So later I expanded the manuscripts, and then in fact it was serialized at a stage, not all of it in the Guardian, but of course the book has been absolutely enlarged. Right up till maybe last year or something, it has been enlarged, although I left the original material the way it was, just as I did with the columns in Sports Spectacular.
So you took the manuscripts to him?
Yes, I read the manuscript.
Tell me that.
Well, he was, when I did meet the great man, nice man, and I was introduced to him by his age. This person came, he says he's written a book about it. Okay, sit down. Let's hear what you've written. In fact, to use his words, say, show me what you got. So I started reading and reading, Then after a while, I read after one very flattering paragraph about him. He stopped me, he interjected. He told me, he said, this man is on my payroll. You know? So, of course, there was a lot of laughter. Then I read another paragraph along the line. He stopped me again. He said, tell you something, man. I like what you've written. You're not as dumb as you look. I was a little confused. Then I continued reading, and then I got to one section. He liked what I wrote. So he said, look, you almost look a little bit like me, except that you're too short. You know, I wouldn't be the type. I continued reading. Then I talked about his fight with Joe Frazier. And I talked about, I remember my words. I said, the champ, Ali, was always vulnerable to shorter fighters with great left hooks.
Yes.
I said Sonny Banks knocked him down with the left hook before he won the title, but he got up and knocked out Sonny Banks. And then I continued, I said Joe Frazier knocked him down also with a potent left hook. In fact, I said he continued, Joe Frazier's left hooks continued to do a number on Ali's jaw all night long. He stopped me. He said, you don't even look like me. You are ugly just like Joe Frazier. You are short and but you know, he said it in good spirit, and we all laughed about it. So it was quite, it was one of the more pleasant experiences of my career. And I've met many great champions in my career as a reporter, as a columnist. I've talked to people like Martina Navratilova, Ivan Lendl, Pete Sampras, Roger Federer, quite a lot, Akash, a lot of great champions in different sports. But there were two that always stuck out in my mind, Muhammad Ali and that great American icon, African-American icon, Akash, who was both Wimbledon champion and US Open champion. Coming face to face to them was coming face to face with greatness. You didn't have to talk. They didn't have to talk. You knew instantly that you were in the presence of greatness. Some of that, Sampras was great. Very reticent, very quiet, didn't talk much. Couldn't even look me straight in the eye. That's how shy he was, as great as he was. Federer too, fantastic fellow. Steffi Graf, quite a few of them. But I think the two that stand out in my mind were Muhammad Ali and Akash.